Africans must stop pushing the white man's rhetoric. Hello again, my people. Skywalker here with more fire and more light. The thing I want to talk about today is a very vexing issue. It is vexing because it borders on the most insensitive lack of empathy among brothers. The Africans rub black people around the globe that way, and sometimes it seems like arrogance. Sometimes because Africans do not expose much knowledge about true African history, they use their beliefs in the white man's lies as facts to counter the black man's truth. And this is not good. It needs to stop. We need to respect each other's individual experiences, circumstances, and perspectives. The black man's history is not a one size fits all. It's not a one size fits all affair. My people, we are on this movement, and to help with this movement, please give a thumbs up to this video, share this video, and subscribe to keep abreast with these conversations. We see how the white man, in his way of spinning rhetoric and creating negative face value in order to forge lies, will go to Africa, take all sorts of images, and then come back west to twist the story to make it seem like what it is not. They turn everything good into the bad thing that they hold as evidence, and then they say, "This is Africa." Africans do not like it, and we, your brothers in other parts of the globe, do not like it either. We are there for you. Now, let me explain how you come off at times. Just like how the white man seems to you, that is how you come off to us at times. Black unity does not mean that everyone must be in Africa or from Africa. It means that all the original people must stick together. I come from a line that is also West African. I see myself as African. However, others see themselves as different because their history is different. They are different. When some Africans were kidnapped and brought into Jamaica as forced laborers, others were already here for centuries and they were the originals on the land. Why would they see themselves as Africans and why should they? The land is theirs. And if they agree that it was far Columbus who discovered it, a white man would cheat them out of their own inheritance again, and their black African brothers, so stiff necked and not listening, would be complicit. Where then is the unity? Or what is it for? Is it to bring every black man to Africa? Or is it for black people to have peace and justice in this world? Black original people have no geographical limit. The Africa is a black country, limit is white people being divisive and black fools buying into it. Africa is just a piece of land on earth. Black original are the first people of the earth. People talking about West Indians, Amerindians, and all that are simply trying to find other races to impose against our identity. So when they talk about West Indians and Amerindians, they are simply trying to find other races, especially those with lighter skin, to impose against our identity. Because it is to say these people were there first at all times. No one was ever there before the original. No one at no place. In America, in Australia, in India, in China, in Japan, in Africa, nowhere were there they before us. There is no race on earth that ever went anywhere who did not see us first. Moreover, Indians are simply original black folks. I want you to hear that, and I want the Indians to hear that too. Indians are simply original black folks. Against that, the white man sought to set people of a lighter caste in order to accomplish their step by step land piracy program by making it lighter and lighter until it get to white. It was just a mass of original people on the earth. You know, from red clay to dark brown clay. Just that spectrum. They were all the original people. The Amerindians know that the originals of America were black. I said, the Amerindians know that the originals of America were black. Yet, black fools will tell you that the Amerindians were here first. This is so foolish. We tend to think that it was there were different peoples here, all different sorts of people, because this is how they confuse us. No, no matter who they are talking about, Indian, Skindian, Shindian, Trenigian, Regnigian, it was always the black man was the man who was there first. Whoever they impose after that is just an imposition. The original was all. If you want to see what an original look like, you go to Australia, you go to India, Japan, China, and then you come back and look into the mirror. They desolated Palestine of black people, and then slowly and slowly, Jesus grew into blue eyes. This is how they work, and it is not a thing of the past. Don't believe the South Africa project ever ended. They want to make a white South African region separate from the other areas as an enclave in Africa. Then, slowly, by a few generations, they will be the face of the way, they will be the face of what the part of South Africa look like. So that part of Africa will be changed to becoming white like they did to Egypt. And then they will be the creators of the Vuvuzela. You understand? The way some white guy was the inventor of tempered iron that black folks in Jamaica invented. It's a white guy have the patent for it. Or the way Henry Ford is the inventor of a car that black slaves invented. And mostly, I am not disappointed with the white oppressors behaving like liars, thieves, and tormentors. This is what we always expected. I am just disappointed with black brothers that still act like docile fools even after so long. When you look at the leaders in Jamaica, Nigeria, and Kenya, you have to feel sick to your stomach. They do not work for self empowerment. They were they work to kiss the white butt of white masters, their gods, because they hope that these white lads will be pleased enough to drop a crumb. And they force this on the people that the entire nation must subject to butt kissing because their leaders are kissers. This is not right. It is not fair. This time, when the butt kissers are exposed, the train to Zion will leave them, the big butt kissers. For the winds have changed, and a different law was made. Different rules of engagement are struck. So, so those that hold on to the old will be spewed out with the redundant and evil paradigm. Because the white man did not even know the value of the African continent in their awful desolation of ancient black Europa. Yes, Europe, you heard me well. They shipped off many black people from lands in the West and dumped them in Africa. So, just as how Africans claim that if you are black, you must have come from Africa, let it be known that some people in Africa were taken from the West in the desolations and brought to Africa. So, some Africans are from here and don't even know it. Where is the black woman of Europe who looked just like the South African woman and possibly had the same culture because of her artifacts? The first inhabitants of Europe were black, and they were there not even. too long ago. Not too long ago. History is angled in a way to give the impression that any black person in Europe hundreds of years ago would have had to come from Africa. This is the most unholy crap. King James was the last black king of England during the period of the deliberate whiting out of the royal legacy. You read stories of great black men in the West at that time, and they try to fool you that they were not indigenous to the West, but they were. Even Greece and Italy were black lands. They whited out the European nobles as they deliberately did in Egypt by forcing white outcasts to sit on the throne, even without the endorsement of black queen mothers. And they did this until it appeared completely white. Then they brought in white people from Europe to stay in the regions of Egypt closer to the monarchs. This ensured that those that went to Egypt would see them as the face of the legacy. They did the exact same thing in England to King James and his Aboriginal people. And Hitler did it to the Jews after he slaughtered their black asses and ingeniously turned their characters white so he could give a bunch of white folks the legacy of God people in the name of the God people. And this was to create an enclave in the Middle East to be closer to owning and capturing Africa again. By this, the heathen would come into the inheritance. It is finished now, though. It has to be finished. Black people from Africa or anywhere on earth must now be knowledgeable about these events and stop being the utilities of their own downfalls. When an African comes insisting that a black man he meets in the West but doesn't know his story has to be African because he is black, this African only betrays a black brother by helping the white land pirates to seem correct when they are not. And if you are African in the West and you do not know the history of how things were, or if you do not want to know, but rather come with that arrogance, then please do shut your damned mouth, brother. How is a black man from Oklahoma, whose great grandfather is from Oklahoma, who has never been anywhere else, going to tell you where in Africa he is from? He is from goddamn Oklahoma, fool. For I see this African male on YouTube who claims he is from Ghana and he is ridiculing a black man for this. He tells the black man he is Ghanaian and asks the fellow where in Africa he is from. But he does not know that the guy is from Africa. He is just arrogant and shallow minded enough to believe that the fact that the guy is black means he must be from Africa. F you, man. I would say to that fool, the fact that a man is black means he is the original. He could be from any damn place on earth. We have been here that long. Original Australians were there before your people went to Ghana, arriving from a 1,000-year journey from India as the original Indians, but you don't even know that. And here you are talking your crap though. I said, shut your goddamn mouth. Bro, not every black person is African. Every black person is original. That is our lineage and place of birth. Original. That's the name of our place of birth. Original. The earth. Some are indigenous to Africa and some to other parts of the earth. Once you are black, you are aboriginal, not African. You cannot you cannot limit the aboriginal who are on the four corners by geography, right? And you can't say this is because it's the cradle of whatever. Cradle of what? Cradle if you don't know shit. It's just a part of the earth. You're talking about cradle of whatever. That's crap. That's the white man crap. You're going off a white man's rhetoric and he knows why he's doing it. You can be okay. So how long was that cradle made, and how long was it wrecked? If we are on the earth, we have been on the earth. So why? Do you live in that hospital where you were born, fool? You do that to newly formed races. That's who you do it to. Newly formed races that haven't even managed to go and explore yet. You don't do it to original people, limiting them to a small geography, a little piece of land. This is not how it goes. Not to the ancient of days. You don't try to do that to the ancient of days. That's for a new race that can be stuck in a corner, and they are a minority. You do not know that Africa was no birthplace for humans. You do not know. At one time in history, Africa was the promised land for many black folks. If it was the promised land, then they never lived there before. And this is not me saying that all things did not start in Africa. I am saying, or I am staying neutral on that point, right? Which does not matter either way. Many Africans in Africa are from other places. So there you have it. Like I saw a Ghanaian talking about, as long as you are black, you are African. If you are a Ghanaian, then your history says that you are Indian. You are original Indians that left India like nomads, running from the sword thousands of years ago in the 1,000 Years' War. You went to between Punt and Uganda for refuge as the nomads. Then, along the banks of the River Nile, you were, before becoming the historic Egyptians along with the Nubians. Then, after Ramesses was in power, I think it was Ramesses. I could be wrong, but I think it was after Ramesses was in power for the Nubians. You attempted a coup because of differences, which the Nubians won. The Nubians won the battle. You had to depart from Egypt, being given free passage by the victors, and now you hated Egypt, which was your home, and you were known as Egyptians before. You were Ephraim, breaking away from Egypt with a tribe that came with you as security, for you did not know war. That's why you got kicked out of Egypt, for you did not know war, and you started it. And the Adami, Gileadite, they were the ones that came with you as security for the new war, and they were a single tribe, not a nation as you, but they tagged along. So after all the years you lived in Egypt, um, after all the years you lived in Egypt, were you were you still Indian because you came from India? Yeah. After all those years you lived in Egypt, were you still Indian? For you came from India. Or were you still Egyptians where you left as nomad, as Azra, which they say Israel today as Azra people claiming that God visited you, but then you end up in a state of Azra until you were scattered again. Are you Egyptian, Indian, or Azra people then? Many of you ended up in Germany and some stayed over 2,000 years. Who were they? Who were they then? Germans, Jews, Indians, Egyptians, or the Azra people? Whenever you see the original man, he is a man of all the earth, not an African. Therefore, the white man's rhetoric that seeks to make him disown that which he owns all over this earth is null and void. Jamaica is for Maroons who were exiled before Columbus came, and they share it with their brothers from Africa. Maroons are indigenous to Jamaica. We don't have to go to Africa for unity. Africa can be a central point, but sometimes it doesn't even make sense. It depends on where the movement for oneness is sparked. Jamaica has sparked more consciousness than Africa in the past. Many of these nomadic people ended up in West Africa and Ghana with the mighty warrior tribe of the Adami still around the Accra region today. Since they began in India thousands of years ago, Are they Indians or Ghanaians? Stop making small things create big losses. Peace out.